What's up, YouTube? Welcome to episode 4 of Rockin' Music Reviews. I'm Jotty D coming at you with my main man there, Draven Crow, and today we'll be reviewing the 1997 album release, Incubus Science. And let's just get into it. Part 1, let's do it. So I'm just gonna quickly go over a quick intro of how I got introduced to this album. And basically, I wrote BMX, and I had a good friend who like loved to put his ghetto blaster up and right in front of wherever we're doing tricks. And I was introduced to this album. We were riding to it, and I was blown away instantly. And I don't know how long after it was when I went and purchased this album, but I actually had heard one of the singles, not from the radio, but actually from the first Family Values CD, and I'm probably around that time, same year, 98, 99, and it had that one song from Incubus. Basically, they let them have one slot inside that Family Values CD, and they actually weren't even on the actual video version of it. But on the CD, they let them have one slot, and it was new skin, and I just thought like, what is this, right? And that was my first introduction to Incubus. But yeah, I'll just hand it over to Jamco. See, this might have been his first time listening to this album.
Oh, first time listening to it, 110%. This one skated by me somehow, in some way, even though I was all around this type of music back in 97, 98, 99, all that new metal music. Oh, geez. How this one skated past me, I do not know. But when Jotty D sent me this and said, give this a listen and see what you think about it, whoo, hot dog. What a ripper, eh, man? Like that first track off this album just hits you with this what a crazy style, crazy sound, just blasting in your head. And you know what? I'm not going to get too technical into it because I am not a musician myself. But what I want to relate to you is from my perspective of listening to it and how I felt. And how I felt when I listened to this, first off, was like, whoa, crap, this is a freaking good album, man. Like that there's so many good bangers off this. We're gonna get into the bangers after this, but introduction to Incubus, I think, was probably later for me. Probably like the 2001 version, like we had just talked about earlier, which was go ahead and remind me of the name of that album again.
Morning View.
Morning View. Boom. Oh, yeah. So that was just a little bit more of a refined sound for this album, that album in particular. But yeah, that was my introduction. Me and my friends were hanging out. We're doing some stuff, maybe things that we can't mention on the channel. But wow, some really cool stuff. And then I didn't get into the big discography because it's not like it is nowadays where you can just go onto the internet and check all these albums out. Like I don't know if it's true for you, but like back in the day, if your buddy didn't have the CD and he didn't have the other three CDs before it, you just didn't hear those other three CDs. You heard the one that he had, right?
That's
And
right.
so I think that's how this one got lost on me. But thank God for Jotty to throw this one my way. Woo! She's a banger.
I know. We basically, the way we choose how we're going to review stuff is one individual will pick three albums, and he'll text it to the person, and they'll have to actually just pick out of the three which ones probably seem the most interesting, because a lot of times you never even heard the album that or all three of them, and maybe it's one there that you want to review because you've heard it before and you're excited to do it, or you want to pick something new. Kind of just gives the option while even leaving the other person the option to pick out of those albums to lay down to see which ones they're gonna review. But I know one of the reasons why I chose this album was it's definitely a staple in my collection. I think it's one of the best albums I've heard, and it really made an impact on me when I was younger. and in my riding and everything, it's definitely a song that I can put on and have the ambition that I need to just push forward and doing things, right? And so, yeah. What about you? Like when you put it, or when you did put it on, or like when you would put it on in a certain circumstance? But how's that full album for you?
Dude, just going to pull back to what you said there for a second. If everybody out there doesn't know that my man here, Jody, he rides the BMX and he rides it pretty gnarly. This guy is a BMX wizard, if you will. Way more than I could ever do on a BMX. But back in my day, I used to skateboard. Yeah, I used to be a big skateboard guy. And like what you're saying is, for me, if I was to put this on and take me back 20 years ago, put that, if I had earbuds, like, and not this big clunky shock disc skip player with the big old headphones, and if I had, modern technology, man, skateboarding would have been cool back in the day. Yeah. I'm thinking that this would have been, and was obviously for you, with your BMXing. But yeah, this is a big, awesome album you can just put on. You want to go snowboarding? Boom, put it on. You want to go skateboarding? Boom, put it on. Want to do some flat? What do we call your style of BMXing?
Flatland BMX or freestyle? But
Yeah, freestyle, flat landing. Yeah, this guy's awesome. Check him out. I wasn't that great of a skateboarder, but I did live the culture. So yeah, this is it'd be right there for me. Pretty cool stuff.
and so for like if you're gonna categorize this album as like some kind of genre or like a style, like I know Incubus is pretty unique in their own way, but a lot of times bands get meshed in with other styles that people take as influence, and we try to categorize an album or a band to see like who sounds like what, or is it something that might stand alone?
Yeah, this is a great question there, Jody. Is it a standalone? I would think this is a total standalone. You just take this album and just take this album and think nothing more than this album. What a crazy sound. What do you got here? You got DJs on the mix. Yeah, pretty awesome. You got metal crunch in the background with some crazy guitaring, crazy drops. Oh man, and you got the vocal styling that is just like, man, it's all over the place. This for me, I mean, I guess if you want to compare, there's some funk sounds in this album, like we were talking about earlier. I would attribute to like some early Chili Peppers, like funk with that slap bass type sound with the funk in the groove. But then you want to throw in some like, ooh, I'm like Limp Bizkit with these heavy drops and the guitar sounds. Oh man, it's all over the place. And I'll tell you what, if this sound was to live today and it would have been carried on, oh, I'd still be listening to it right now, man. Like what a great sound. This is a great mix, 100%. Standalone, 100%. Is there some things you can like? Oh yeah, it sounds like this and that, 100%. But for me, this album, Incubus, whoa, you nailed it. You hit it out of the park. What a great album.
Like you said, there's like some funk in there, some heavy tones. There's some mixing, a little bit of digital, and you're like, what is this really? And then for these Incubus fans, maybe that maybe just heard their newer albums, just kind of got into Incubus like later on. Definitely an album to go back on if you haven't heard it. Expect it to be heavier. It's one of the heaviest albums they have, if not the heaviest album in my opinion. But you take those funky grooves and like those mixing sounds, it's unlike any other Incubus album, in my opinion. So yeah, no, we'll go to like some of these tracks. Maybe give me your top couple tracks or like what you think about.
Yeah, so I had this written down, and unfortunately, with my media technology, I can't bring it up right now. But Yeah, I should have been a little more prepared on this one. But anyways, long story short, there is some beautiful tracks. You have the tracks listed there.
Can you see them? They're in
What's
behind.
that first opening track? Give me that first opening track. What are we talking about?
Redefine.
Oh, yeah. And dude, when that just slams, that is pure '90s awesome gold. There is nothing that sounds like that. That is amazing. Oh, we wanted to mention Nebula. Whoa. Let's have a little discussion about that song. Holy crap! What is that's a ride?
Is that
What do you think about Nebula?
is that
Woo!
not everywhere? That song. In fact, the last three songs are just everywhere on the map, and you don't know where to think or what to do. It's just like got you, and you're like, "What is going on?"
Uh, what is going on? And the other one,
Well, I know that
Kalgana,
some of the heaviest ones is New Skin, uh,
New Skin.
Idiot
Beautiful.
Box.
Idiot Box. Yes, that was on my track list as well. Man, is that a ripper.
One of the
How many tracks are on this album? I think there's 13 tracks, or 12 or 13.
we got 12 tracks. Yeah,
12 tracks. And I
and
will tell you, if you put this on and you haven't heard this album and you like this style of music, you put it on 1 through 12, no disappointments on my end here. Everything's unique, different, stylistically awesome, just a freaking banger. And thank you, Jody, for letting me get onto this one because, like I said earlier, hadn't heard this one. It's a banger. It's a banger. It's a great album.
for the people who maybe haven't heard the album, but they've heard a couple songs, it would have been New Skin. New Skin would have been the single, right? And Certain Shade of Green. You know that song they did an acoustic album, and they had that song on there, and it was awesome acoustic. But to hear it heavy and build up, it's definitely different. But that's how people might know Certain Shade of Green if they haven't looked back on this album before, right? So yeah, I mean, given this as like a new album for you, I don't know what. Let's see what you'd rate it.
Cool, dude. So after we had these options, and I picked Incubus right away because I said, you know what, I like their style, and you blew my mind away with this album. This one's gonna rate real high on my list. It's gonna be. I'm gonna give this one I'm gonna give it a 9 out of 10. This is a 9 for sure out of 10 on my list. And the more I listen to it, it might even get just a little bit higher on the list. But for now, I'm gonna put that down as a solid 9. And everybody that hasn't heard it, put it on, check it out. You might like it more than you think you might like it. So yeah, thanks.
Yeah, and you know, I'm gonna probably give this if I what is a 10 out of 10, right? Like the most perfect album ever, it almost might not exist, but you know, if I give it a 5 or a 9, 9.7, 9.5, 9.5, 9.7, you know what I mean? It's pretty much a
Boom!
perfect album for me.
Whoa! Look out! This one's a 9.597, boys.
Yeah,
Oh, dude. You know what, man? I could give this even higher too because I was trying to be a little bit modest there with the 9, but there's always bigger, better albums out there, and even if we had to come back and do all Incubus albums, would this rank at a 9.5, 9.7 out of all of them for you, or would this be a little bit lower or higher? What do you think?
yeah. I mean, at some points in my life, I've been known to say that this was my favorite Incubus album. Um, it's a pretty trifecta for me for the science, and then Make Yourself and Morning View. Those three albums for me for Incubus is they're just like nothing else. You know, there's nothing else that describes Incubus more than those three albums for me. Um, yeah, I got other good songs in and out from other albums, no doubt. But for me, those are my Incubus albums. Those are the ones I'm gonna go to when I'm
Boom.
listening to some Incubus, right? And just a little bit of info, if you never heard, the cover of the album, I'll just flash it real quick. It's going to be in backwards because my
Let's
camera
check
is
it.
backwards, right? But there's a little guy out there, and apparently that's Brandon's father, who this head's just kind of like weird and just sitting there. And people are like, they ask questions about it, and the band just leaves it up to wonder, like there's no reason for it to be there. It's just there. And for you to just think, well, why is it there, right? And it goes along with this whole album is just like it's just a whole mystery. When you listen to it, it's a mystery. So
Man, that's awesome, man. That this album means a lot to you, and thank you for introducing me to it. I give you a big hug here across the screen. Thanks, brother. Appreciate it. Uh, Fungus Among Us was their first album. Am I not correct?
yeah, I'd say most people probably mistaken this album as as Incubus's first album, no doubt, because the first album is just pure funk, and that's where people might say that this band might sound a little like Chili Peppers or whatever. Because Chili Peppers are funk, right? So the first album, if you haven't given that a listen to, I suggest that too as well. You probably won't get as many hard riffs that on that one. It'll be more pure funk, and you can tell Incubus was kind of trying to find their sound and where they wanted to go. And each Incubus album's unique in its own way, you know. And it actually, this Science album is not the first album; it's the second album. And but most people just don't even know about the first album. So
Man, for everybody that doesn't know this band, you're gonna know it now. And go ahead and check out uh, Fungus Among Us. We got Science. We got Morning View. We have big hit singles like Drive. We have Pardon Me, which is a super big banger. Just a super great band, and what a sound. You know, if this sound was continuing today, I'd be knee deep in it. I'd be all about this. So, wicked, awesome, great selection and good review.
yeah, I agree. And we'll be setting up our next episode. Draven Crows, it's his turn to pick three songs, and he's gonna send them over to me, and I'm gonna pick one out of the three, and that'll be our next album for next week. And what we do is basically we listen to an album all week long, and then at the end of the week, it gives the person, whoever hasn't listened to it, or if one person has or one person hasn't, it gives that person a time to really review that album, because you can't make a correct judgment call on an album if you've only heard it once. You know, you gotta really like
Yo,
try to understand it, right?
yeah,
Like a piece of art. The first time you see it, you're not gonna know everything about it until you stared at that thing
ah,
for a while, right? So
what a beautifully word crafted way to say things. Yeah, exactly. You look at a piece of art, you're thinking, oh, that's just a piece of some paint on a canvas. But the more you study it, the more you look into it, the little crevices, the slight nuances and whatnot, the strokes of the artist. You nailed it there. That is the thing. So yeah, we do take the time to take these albums that we may have heard or reheard again, or maybe not have heard, and look through it and come up with these nice little reviews for you. So yeah,
right on. Well, if you like what you seen, well, push like and subscribe. I guess kind of corny, but
we're we're working our way up here, and thank you guys so much for hanging out with us and listening. So we appreciate it. Thanks, Jody. Appreciate it, homie.
you guys have a good night.